Last week we spoke about the importance of building a little muscle to help you lose fat.
Mm-hmm.
And we spoke about eating a healthy amount of protein will help you build and maintain muscle. And we said that the more muscle tissue you have on your body, the more metabolism your body needs. And that's going to help you burn more calories.
Mm-hmm.
And the next big macronutrient that we're going to discuss today is carbohydrates.
The next big what?
Macronutrient. Macronutrient.
Nutrient.
Correct.
Okay. Macronutrient,
which is either a protein, a carb, or a fat.
All right.
So the next big macronutrient we're going to have today is carbs. We're going to talk about carbohydrates, and this is probably the most misunderstood and of all of the macronutrients. Now, it's also the one that's the most important to keep a handle on, because if left unchecked, carbs can really pack on the pounds quickly. And that's not to say that they don't have their place in your diet. I'm not one of these no-carb guys, but they have a place, but they have to be really watched and monitored in a really precise way. And so just to back up for a second, what we're discussing...
Well, I don't guess I should have that peach cobbler later on today.
Yeah. So we're discussing manipulating your intake of macronutrients to control your body weight and energy. We did protein last week. We're doing carbs today, and next week we'll do fats.
Okay.
And why do we monitor these instead of calorie intake? And, people ask me all the time, and especially when I was doing my prep for my competition, how many calories are you taking in a day? I couldn't tell you. I never look. But I can tell you to the gram how many carbohydrates, fats, and protein I took in yesterday and the day before, I'm going to take in today, and how much I'm going to take in every day in the future, down to the exact gram, and when I'm going to take in those grams. And that's way more important.
By the way, we should note that you just won some major competition, bodybuilding competition at the Hyman Center. I saw the pictures. The pictures have been posted on our website. And one lady made the comment. She said, I think after seeing you shirtless, she said, I think I'm feeling sick. What kind of doctor is he?
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, the office got a big kick out of that. Yeah,
I bet they did. I bet they did, because they see you. They don't normally see you naked. So, no. What was the title?
It was the state show. It was the state bodybuilding competition.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, for Louisiana State.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And so I use this as an example when people ask me how many calories I take in, and I tell them I don't ever look at that. I look at my macronutrients. So one piece of chocolate cake is 500 calories. 3 chicken breasts are 500 calories.
Wow.
Are those going to do the same thing in my body whenever I eat?
Probably not.
No,
no.
Unfortunately not.
No, but you know what? That's it. That's an interesting observation. 500 what'd you say, calories? Of a chicken breast in one hand, and a 500 calorie piece of cake in the other hand. Now a lot of people would think, well, if I eat this or this, it's the same thing.
If I'm a calorie counter.
500 calories are 500 calories. But I'm assuming that you're going to tell me that the cake is going to do something different.
Absolutely.
In my body.
Yes, absolutely.
What does it do?
Well, what it's going to do is going to spike your insulin, which is going to signal fat storage in your body. It's going to create this cascade of your body wanting to store fat. Whereas, of course, obviously, the chicken breast is not going to do that. But that's why I'm not one of these calorie counters or these point counters, is because your body doesn't metabolize food that way. Your body, whenever you swallow a bite of food, looks at that food and says, is this a protein or a carbohydrate or a fat? So that's the way we monitor it, is actually what is each thing that we're eating. So last week, we discussed the role of protein. So with carbs, this is the most overeaten macronutrient in the typical American diet. So carbohydrates are overeaten. They're eaten at the wrong times of day, and usually in way, way too many amounts. Now, the average American typically has 7 times too many carbohydrates in their diet. Carbohydrates are the sugars, the bread, rice, pastas, sweets, crackers, processed foods. So when you think about this, when you go out to eat, the first thing to hit the table, beer, cold drink, sweet tea, carbs. Then they bring your bread or your rolls, carbs. Then they bring your salad, carbs, with dressing, carbs. They bring your entree with rice, carbs.
So wait, salad?
Is a carb. Yeah. So now it's a good carb. Yeah, but it is a
You mean like
carbohydrate.
tomatoes? Tomatoes is a carb.
Sure. Yeah, it's not a protein or a fat. Yeah, it's
Okay.
carbohydrate. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say it's bad for you.
Carrots.
Yeah, all that's carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
But all that adds up.
Yes. And so then they bring your entree with rice, carbohydrate, some other vegetable, carbohydrate, and one protein. Then you save room for another beer, dessert, another cold drink, all carbs. So you see how out of balance it is. That's like 8 or 10 carbs for one protein. And we do this day after day, meal after meal. And so we end up with way too many carbohydrates in our diet and not near enough proteins.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Which will keep me fuller? The hand that has 500 calories of chicken breast or the hand that has a 500-calorie piece of cake? Which is going to make me full or make me feel fuller?
That's a great question, because what happens when you eat the cake is it's going to spike your insulin, spike your blood sugar. In about 30 minutes, you're going to be hungry again. Whereas if you eat the chicken breast, you're going to have a more slower digestion, and it's not going to do that. So
You may not smile as much, but it's better for you.
yeah. And so now when you add up all of those extra carbs in our meals.
My friend Shelly, who's a police officer, just texted me. She said, "Boo Sugar, give me the damn cake."
So, then when you add up that late night ice cream or cookie, a handful of cookies, right before you go to bed, this is sort of like the perfect formula for packing on the pounds. So you're going to
wait, say that again?
So not only do we eat all these extra carbs in our meals,
Yeah.
but then that ice cream right before bed, right
I
before
know
you lay
so
down.
many people who have ice cream
yeah,
before bed.
right before you go to sleep. That is the formula that's like signaling your body to be the perfect fat storage.
So you're telling me this Cajun tradition is not good for us?
Yeah, it's not good for you. Yeah. So what happens is carbs will spike your insulin. Insulin stores and creates fat. Fat will produce more insulin, so you crave more sugar. So you eat more sweets, and it's just this cycle of craving sugar, craving sweets, packing on weight. The weight actually causes you to crave more. And so when we get back from break, I'm going to teach you how to properly manipulate your carbohydrate intake, and you'll see that all carbs aren't bad, and they do have a place in our diet, but you have to really monitor them and manipulate them in the correct timing and in the correct way. So we'll do that right after break.
Fantastic. Can't wait.
So carbs do provide energy and boost your metabolism. So they do have their place, but they should be timed around your highest physical activity of the day. So in other words, you put carbs in your body when you're burning them, and you don't put them in your body when you're going to store them. So here's an example.
Do most carbs give you energy?
They will. Yeah,
Okay.
they will. So an example is if I have 200 grams of carbs per day that I eat, and that's my number, not yours, everybody's different. I would do 0 for breakfast. I would do 60 grams of carbs 30 minutes before I work out at lunchtime. I would do 80 immediately after, and then I would do...
Wait, Bernice. Why would you do them after you work out?
Well, because what happens, you're wanting to put those carbs into building muscle glycogen. It's a pretty complicated process, but what happens whenever you break down your muscle tissue and you add carbs to it, what happens, your body is going to use that to repair muscle tissue, not to store insulin.
He's talking about serious working out too, though.
Yeah, so some weightlifting, some sort of physical activity.
So from the couch to the refrigerator, that would not count.
That
as
doesn't count, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so I would do 80 immediately after, and then that would leave me 30. I would split between my next 2 meals, and then I would do 0 again for my bedtime 6th meal of the day. So you can see my first and last meal, I do 0, and then I do the vast majority of my carbs right around my workout, and then I split a few throughout the rest of the day. This is called carb timing. It's a very scientific way to manipulate your macronutrients so that you're putting them in your body when they're the most effective and they're doing what you want them to do, not what you don't want them to do.
Now, go ahead, Deb.
I was going to ask about runners. You hear about that carb loading the night before the big run. Is that the same kind of thing? Or?
Absolutely it is. Yeah, so they're loading themselves up with carbs so that they have all that excess energy storage and that extra insulin storage in there. So they're doing exactly the same thing. They're loading up their carbohydrate storage for that for that long run, for that level.
I used to,
of
before
activity.
Brittany, before she pole vaulted, I would give her a little piece of Snickers, right, like a few minutes before to give her a little jolt.
Yeah.
Well, it's all I had,
Sure,
I'd
that's
give
that's a good
a
thing.
little something to jolt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would tell. I think also they would tell them sometimes they would take them out. Now, look, if I have this wrong, I apologize, UL. But I think sometimes they would take them out to have pasta before an event or something like that.
Especially the long distance runners. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So,
very good for
but I want to ask you. I would assume that when you talk about your 60 grams of carbs a day, is that what you said?
Yeah.
I would assume that your carbs are not cake.
Right. Yeah. Jasmine rice, sweet potatoes.
Okay.
Those type of things.
Okay. Tell me the health benefits of sweet potatoes.
Well,
Because you look at them and you would think this is so good and so syrupy and so sweet, it would be bad for me, but it's not.
Not at all. Yeah, they have a really low glycemic spike, which means they're not going to spike your insulin levels. They're a slower carb, super healthy, full of vitamins and minerals. I ate that quite a bit. Sweet potatoes and jasmine rice is my two main go-to carbs.
Okay.
And then I might throw in some broccoli and asparagus. But the thing about that is a handful of broccoli is only maybe 2 or 3 carbs.
Yeah, not much.
So but you have to add it into your numbers. But it's not a big figuring. Whenever you're considering a cup of rice is 150. So
yeah.
So how does all this translate to the average person who doesn't really do much exercise?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, lower your carb intake, increase your protein. But second of all, start doing some kind of exercise. Everybody should start moving. Everybody out there. I mean, everybody should be able to get in a few hours a week of exercise. And when somebody tells me that they just don't have time to exercise, that's really an excuse. I asked them, were you sleeping really good at 4:30 this morning? They go, yeah, I was. I said, well, I was on the Stairmaster. So nobody's busier than I am. And you can still find time. There are 672 hours in the average month. If I spend an hour a day, 3 days a week, by the end of the month, I still have 660 hours left to do everything else I need to do. So you can squeeze some exercise in there somewhere to improve your health.
And you're probably not suggesting, people don't, when you say work out, you're not suggesting that people have to start lifting weights tomorrow.
No.
You're saying just movement, just some sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can wake up and do some push-ups and some sit-ups and some, some squats in the den and some stuff like that.
You don't have to go out and spend money on a Bowflex.
Absolutely. Everybody can do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can do something. Any budget, it doesn't matter how broke you are. You can figure out some way to get some sort of a movement in.
Yeah.
But timing your carbohydrate intake around your physical activity will force it to go into muscle building and not into fat building. So when I time my carbs around that physical activity, my body uses it to build muscle, not to build fat. That's kind of the bottom line with what we talked about. But almost universally, everyone eats way too many carbs and not enough protein in their diet. Increase your lean protein intake and reduce your carbohydrate intake is pretty much advice for everyone.
So it sounds like you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you will, if I did no exercising, nothing different in my life, no additional exercising, okay, and I just eliminated a lot of carbs from my diet, I probably would lose weight, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, you would. Yeah, and that's why,
So why do I want a biscuit so bad right now?
Yeah. And so, the low carb diet actually does.
With jelly.
Yeah. So the low carb thing really does work. But if you do no carbs, then you start to get lowered metabolism. So that's why a little bit of movement and a little bit of carbohydrate around that movement is going to keep your metabolism up and is going to build some muscle tissue. So now we get the ball going in the right direction. So it all kind of fits in. But I mean, as you guys can see, this stuff gets a little complicated.
Well, yeah.
And so that's why, as a wellness coach, this is what I do for folks, is I sit down with them and help them develop a program for them to reach their highest level of health. And so, if there's anybody out there who is looking to reach their health goals through our coaching program, if you've tried and failed to reach your goals, it was probably because you didn't have somebody helping you to stay motivated, helping you to figure out what to eat, helping you to figure out a simple and safe exercise program, helping you with whatever is stopping you from getting healthy. And when you start to do this coaching, everybody has like their own thing that's kind of stopping them. Some people it's mental, some people it might be something physical that we need to take care of. But if figuring out what's stopping them is what makes a really good coach. Like, what is their barrier? What's stopping them from really achieving that next level of health?
What's the number in your many years of experience? What's the number one thing that stops people from a regimen?
I would just
makes them want to give up.
Yeah, I would say probably negative self-talk. Just saying, "Oh, I'll never be able to get this. I can't do this. This is too hard." That kind of negative self-talk is
feeling tired.
Yeah,
and not realizing and not understanding that exercise will help you not feel as tired.
Mm-hmm. And
that's
a lot of times,
amazing.
Yeah, it is.
I know.
And a lot of times,
my dad always said, "The more you sleep, the more you want to sleep."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of times we'll take them and start them on a little adrenal booster too. And so with our program, it's handling some of those physical problems through nutrition and through different supplementation also. And that's one reason why having a coach who's also a physician makes such a difference, because if they have some adrenal fatigue or some sort of hormonal imbalance, we can work on that at the same time.
Wow.
And so
you are one-stop shopping.
So here's what I've done this week. And
he's really good because his lobby's always full of people trying to see him.
Yeah. So
I have to sometimes I have to I'm like, "Doc, you got time for me?"
I always do.
You always do.
I always do.
As a matter of fact, you've always been so kind, and I understand you do this not just to me because I'm on the radio with you, but you do this to many of your patients. You even sometimes say, "You know what? If I'm in the area and you need me on the weekend, here's my number."
Every patient I have has my cell phone number.
Do they really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
See, you're the real deal.
So here's what I've done. I've opened up. So now that I'm done with my competition, I have a little bit more time to devote to my coaching program. So here's what I've done for everybody. I've opened up 5 new slots for my personal coaching program. I have 5 new slots available for anybody out there who is interested. So I can take on 5 new people that are really serious about changing their health, extending their life, wants to end up looking great and preventing chronic disease. And so if you want to sit down and talk to me about being one of these 5 people, you can call my office and set up a time to come in and sit down and let's talk about it. So,
and they talk with you, not an assistant.
This is me.
Okay.
It will be me through the whole process. Yeah. And so I have 5 new slots to take on clients this month. And if you want to do that, you can call my office and set it up and come in and sit down and we'll see if it's a fit. So what you're calling for is not to get under the program. It's to come in and sit down with me and let's talk about your goals and talk about the program and see if it's a fit. Mm-hmm. And if it's a fit, then we can go forward from there. If it's not a fit, then hey, no harm, no foul.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. And so if it's not a fit, then you haven't lost anything because I'm doing this at no charge. So if you want to come in and kind of sit down.
Oh, it's no charge.
Yeah. If you want to come in and sit down with me and just talk about the program for 30, 45 minutes and just kind of see what what your stops are and see if our program might be able to help you, then you
be
can
careful
do that.
that lady with that comment about you shirtless on our
look out for her
on the internet. Look at she might start something.
So if you want to, if you're interested in
she
this,
might have an ulterior motive to sit down with you.
Yeah. So you can call.
Can you take your shirt off? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You can call 837-7174 and tell Natalie you want to come in and set up a time to chat with me about personally coaching through your wellness program.
Natalie, that's a hot mess. Huh?
And I do only have 5 slots available. So if you want in, you really need to call now. Now, next week, we're going to cover the last of the macronutrients. It's everyone's favorite, fats. Yeah, fats.
I bet you're going to tell us that fat is not the Antichrist like some people think fats are.
It's true. Carbs are the bad thing. Fats are one of the good things.
Yeah, but the right fats.
The right ones.
Oh, I
correct.
can't wait for next week's show.
So listen.
So, wait, give out the number again.
So call and set up your new future right now.
Ooh, new future.
837-7174. I only have 5 slots available, so if you're interested, you need to call right away.
Call now. Okay.
Listen, if you guys get a message, if you get me on the machine, leave your name and number. That means our lines are jammed, and we'll get to you. So just leave your name and number on there, and I'll call you back.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you, Doc.
Good deal, guys.
All right. Wellness Wednesday, Dr. Kevin Bryant Wellness Institute. It is 8:33.